And we're live. We'll let people cycle in, and then we'll start the festivities.
All right. I can hear a little bit of echo over there.
Okay. Odd.
Now I can hear some music. Yeah. I can still hear echo, but it's not loud enough for it to bother me.
Okay. Wonder what that would be. Oh well, we'll figure this shit out as we go along.
Pretty much. What was that?
Me setting my mic off for a second.
Why would you do that?
Because it's funny.
Oh, okay. Well, if you insist.
I do.
Oh, okay.
What the hell is this?
I have no idea. It's crazy. Madness, even. Fantastic. Although, I mean, it is our first one, so of course we're going to be a little clueless.
Exactly.
Yep. Just let me know when we're actually in and when people can hear us.
Oh, they can hear us the whole time.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It's okay. We've got this under control.
And Mosley.
I love that transition.
Yeah, this is a pretty sweet one. Okay, I'm kind of tired of it too. There's just this repetitive humping of my ears.
Well, your ears could use some humping.
At the moment, yes. Holy sweet Jesus, I think I owe someone some congratulations, Miss Sun Griffin. I'm assuming wait, that's a plus sign, right? I can't tell anymore. Or is that a negative? Is that a sideways negative? What's going on? Oh. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Woohoo. That's always
Yes.
good.
Someone's making a baby.
Awesome. I'm glad somebody is not me.
Well, if it were you, then we'd have to have a nice long talk about your man card.
Ha! I've filled my dance card for the rest of my life. Anyway, welcome to the first live cast for Anjel Syndicate. We don't have a title, so we're just going with no pants required tonight, because really, there are no pants required. I am your gamer lover, Angelus X, and with me is Matt, who most of you probably already know, and you can introduce yourself.
Yep. Hey, my name is Matt. I also go by Sans Pants on Twitter. I love games. I'm a huge nerd. I am the one that does a lot of the tabletop reviewing on the site now, and what's going on?
What are you playing right now? And I'll be right back.
All right. Well, hey, he left. That means it's all mine. Well, since I do have a little bit of time to talk, let's talk a little about the Steam Summer Sale, because I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching it every hour on the hour to see what the hell's been coming up. A few games that I could totally recommend to you all is Crater, Shadows over Soulside. It is on sale for another hour and a half, and if you ever played any of the old Interplay games, and you played Diablo. Well, hell, who the hell hasn't played Diablo? Imagine if you took the best of both of those, put them together, and made a game out of it. It's an indie game. It's based on the world getting into full post-apocalypse mode. You are in Sweden, which is totally off the wall right there, and you can have up to 3 characters in your party. It's large amounts of just top down, walking around, beating up stuff, and it's really worth it. It came out relatively recently, and I find that $7.50 for a game that come out what it was a month ago, I think it was, totally worth it.
Absolutely.
In addition, because I can interrupt you now, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is on flash sale for the next 11 hours and 25 minutes. If you've got cash for that, I cannot recommend that highly enough.
Well, there you go. There's a pitch. We should get endorsement deals for this.
Well, if those developers were still around, I'd be all over it.
Yeah. How many developers are left these days? I don't know. I've lost count of how many have closed this year.
How many have closed? But then so many of them have said, you know what? Screw this noise. We're going to go make our own studio with blackjack and hookers. And we haven't really seen a lot of the results of that yet. But I've got a feeling that the next couple of years are going to be really big for indie.
Oh, well, definitely. And, I mean, the only downside I see to a lot of these new studios that are getting opened up after the other ones have shut down and all these veterans are going off and doing their own thing is that they're all jumping into mobile and web browser games, which is just... don't get me started.
The thing is, there's a lot of money to be made there. If you set up a game that's fun, well, okay, the varying degrees of fun, and be able to set up a way to make money off of, giving people X amount of fun, but saying, hey, you can go all the way up to Y if you give us money.
Yeah.
That seems to be because you have a huge install base there. That seems to be the way it goes.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is right now, we are seeing really good browser games. I will admit, especially on Unity 3D. But the problem is that for every good one entrance that comes out, we're seeing 15 to 20 utter pieces of crap. There's a lot of money to be made, but that money is getting spread all over the place. And while it's good to dive in, this bubble's not going to last at the rate that we're seeing games come out.
I think one of the biggest problems with determining whether a game is a success or failure is just looking at the dollar sign. The dollar amount does not matter. What matters is that you make more money in the end than you put into it. And I think that because you have a lot of these people coming in with new development, sticking with designs that are small, with art that is easy to make. That's why, the 2D revival is kicking in huge, and hallelujah, yeah. I am totally bored with that. And the fact that when you have things like Steam and these downloadable games and app stores, you don't have to worry about a physical product anymore. You have to worry about being able to get the game out there. That's why you can see games up here. Well, holy crap, that's 75% off. You know what? If you get more than 4 times the sales than you would have made otherwise, you are making bank. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. You do bring up some valid points about there being a lot of crap out there, but I think we've started getting to the point where the crap is being sifted through. At least in the PC platform. I'm afraid to open up my iPad these days and look at games because there is so much crap there.
Yeah. Do I really need to say anything more? It's like crap games mass-produced, Facebook, and every other social network platform that is out there that doesn't have games is going to have games, and the majority of them are going to be ones from Facebook that have run their cycle and are now being introduced on these platforms to squeeze out that little bit more amount of money that they can grab.
Oh yeah, the biggest problem with those is they're still working off the same tired mechanic of push button to receive bacon.
Yeah.
Pushing the button is great. Receiving bacon is awesome. That's not a game.
No.
I'm really looking forward to someone, they're starting to get up there. There is a little Facebook game right now that I pop in every once in a while called Armies of Magic. It's made by some guys down the street. It's a Disney subsidiary.
Playfish?
whose name? Yeah. Oh wait, Playfish. Now I'm gonna have to go and click on the damn game. Give me just
Yeah.
a minute. Anyway, these guys actually pretty much stole whole hog and another game's idea of you get a series of different troops. As you click on buttons and make little dudes walk across the screen.
Yeah.
And fight the other dudes. And they put that on top of a kingdom simulator kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
I've
nice.
seen it.
It's simple. It's engaging enough to actually make me want to pop in and play every once in a while. It's not engaging enough for me to want to sit there and play it forever, and I sure as hell don't want to spam all my friends to play it. Yeah, Playdom did it.
Yeah, played him. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Playfish. Well, yeah, we should remember that, considering that they're the ones who bought Acclaim and then got bought by Disney.
Yes, and you would think that we would remember that.
You would think, but
Oh
Playfish,
man.
played them, played everything else. Too
Oh
many
yeah.
game companies with similar names. God damn it! What happened to the old days when we had, Sega, Nintendo, Activision, Interplay,
Yes.
Atari?
And
It's like eight. You can think of eight gate. I've got to stop licking strange objects. Okay. You can name most of the big names from the early generations easily enough because it was a list of like 8 to 10. Nowadays, there is more game companies sprouting up than you can count on. 90% of them have derivative names from each other, and then you sit there and try to list them off. And it's every year the top lists of developers gets longer and longer because there's so many of them. It's not a bad thing, but name recognition is getting harder.
I can agree with that. It's getting rough these days. Well, then again, there are so many indies, and they all want to try and jump out and be a name that's recognizable,
Yeah.
but not blatantly copying off of other stuff. So,
Yeah, and there's only so many things you can think of for a name for a game company, unless you're going to get out there in strange land, which, true, the one that stands out the most recently, which was started by a big name, would be Toucans or whatever it was. Toucans, yes, by oh God, you know who I mean.
I'm trying to remember, but
That's
brain
sad.
is. Dude, you know what? I just came from the movie, and I am full of food.
Yeah.
So, braining.
I've been chasing kids all day, so I'm pretty fried there too.
22 cans. I think that
Yes.
I'm afraid to go and start Googling it, but I think that might be it.
Yes, 22 cans. There we go. And it was... I'm going to have to Google it. Because we're just fried. Which is okay,
Well,
because being fried is
That's
fun.
okay. Oh yeah. Well, while you're looking that up, let's change the subject over a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, let's
What you
talk
got?
about. Well, I was going to talk about a couple of Kickstarters that I had seen.
Sounds good. I love talking
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Oh man, the sad part is I've thrown so much money out there on different Kickstarters, and the only stuff that I've seen actually return as of yet have been tabletop RPGs. I have my copy of the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade up on my shelf. You know, the leather bound one that's
Yeah.
like almost as thick as my fist. And
Yeah.
that's friggin' awesome. Well, just to bring up one that is that popped up this week that I'm sure that a couple other people might be interested in is Shadowrun Online
Mm-hmm.
is doing a Kickstarter. Earlier they had set up a just a simple funding thing as if you give us money, we'll get you set up with blah blah blah. But now they decided to go to do the Kickstarter route as well. Something that was kind of interesting that they're doing with that I think is just so damn awesome is they took they're going all the way back to 2050. For people who don't know what Shadowrun is, a quick overview: it's the near future. Cybernetics have jumped up. The internet is now the Matrix, and this was before the movies. That means I'm cool. And and in addition, you have orcs, trolls, elves, dwarves. It's like this huge mixture of cyberpunk and fantasy, where dragons are flying over the streets. You have mega corporations all scheming against each other. You have government, the government's trying to work together, and it's really friggin' neat. The first edition was released back in the early 90s, and they started at the year 2050. Fourth edition was released just recently, and they are up to 2072. They found that a lot of people happen to like the earlier versions because it's more of a retro feel as opposed to the current version, which involves a lot of like virtual reality stuff, where everyone has a VR chipset in their head to bring up stuff, as opposed to what the old school system used to be, which was hardwire. If you wanted to go hack into a system, you had to take your deck, which is like the size of a Casio keyboard, plug it into something, and go nuts. And there was a lot more wired stuff, and they give it more of a solid feel, as opposed to all of this stuff that the whole wireless thing is both convenient, but it's also a little. They've changed the game a bit, and I've noticed that both the Shadowrun Online and the Shadowrun video game that they're working on, that's a separate Kickstarter, which I think has ended already.
Yeah, it ended and it's fully funded.
Yep. Oh, I helped with that too. They are both going back to 2050. So WizKids, or is WizKids, whoever owns them now, or whoever owns the rights to the tabletop version of the game, said, you know what, screw this noise, let's make some money. And they have put out the 2050 source book. I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet because it's like 25 bones for the PDF.
Yeah.
But they're promising to kind of bring it back. And I think that's really interesting, that a lot of there's this big RPG backlash against some of the newer types of games. They want to see some of the old stuff. When World of Darkness decided to switch over to the new World of Darkness, there was a big outcry from the people who had played the old system, after they had killed off the world and brought up Armageddon or Gehenna or whatever, whichever system you were playing, whatever they called it. And that's why they made the 20th anniversary edition. Their live-action role-playing system supports both the new and the old systems, which I thought was really neat. There seems to be kind of a lot of people are trying to go back to the basics to try and recreate a lot of the fun that the old systems had. And I think part of that, if I might go on a little bit of a rant, because God knows I can't shut up.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
When it came to a lot of older systems, they were working from nothing, or they were working from, Dungeons and Dragons. Or when Vampire the Masquerade came out in the early to mid 90s, the storyteller system was freaking new. It was like, oh man, we're just going to use a bunch of 10-sided dice, and it's going to involve, the better your stats are, the more dice you get to roll. And the system was designed to facilitate the kind of gaming that they wanted to have, that they wanted to go with. Whereas each little system each little game made its own kind of system for a while. Then it got to a point where they were like, you know what? This is really too much work. Let's make more universal systems. And that's where you get things like the new World of Darkness system, the newer Shadowrun. You'll see a lot of the fun little things were taken out to make it more streamlined, to bring up a much bigger system, Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. If you took a look at the jump from Red Box to AD&D, from AD&D to 2E, from 2E to 3, you'll see that they added systems. From to the first edition of AD&D, they added race as well as class. From first to second, you actually had non-weapon proficiencies that seemed to matter, and they also seemed to start skewing people towards trying to be good, as opposed to saying, hey, let's all play assassins. But that's another bit.
Yeah, we could do a whole cast about that one.
Oh God, put it on the list.
Okay.
And give me like something for my throat, because it's going to go nuts.
Oh, that's why you get beer.
Oh, for real. Oh God, this would be horrible if I had alcohol. And then from second edition to third edition, they added skills. But if you look from third edition to fourth edition, they said, screw this noise. Skills are just too difficult. We're just going to give everyone, very basic skills. Either you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And we're going to make this game a lot more like a cross between an MMO and a miniatures game. And that kind of set off a lot of other game companies to do the same thing. And then there was a bit of a backlash, and that's where a lot of the indie games started picking up steam, because they're like, they don't want to sit there and play this very cookie cutter, very dry system. They want something with a bit of crunch, but more importantly, with a bit of soul to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I see that as a trend with tabletop games, and I like that.
Oh, well, that's because eventually they kept getting, as prominence rose, and now they're, in a sense, as sad as it is, they're riding the wave that video games is now cresting, and they went more mass market by dumbing it down, and it lost some of the appeal because it didn't have the same experience, because you had attachment to the character you generated. I know in a lot of the tabletops that I played, we had characters that were persistent over years, providing we survived, that, we grew attached to. But as the rule sets were dumbed down and they took out elements and added other elements, you lost that sense of attachment to your character, which is something that we see in video games all the time as well. So, we're starting to see that renaissance. And just today I was reading an update from Palladium, and they're releasing re-releasing a shit ton of old Rifts and Robotech books, but they're also working on brand new ones, new source books, and a lot of them. Usually it's been one every once in a while, but I'm starting to see this trend where they're doing an uptick in a lot more books are getting done and being put out or re-released, and that's because these franchises, like Rifts has always been its own little place, and the Palladium Fantasy RPG has always been this weird redheaded child of D&D. But Robotech has been a phenomenon in and of itself because of the huge anime following, and with, the Shadow Chronicles that came out only a couple of years ago, which was really good, and now the rumors that have been floating around about a live-action movie, they're starting to see appeal returning, and the Robotech Twitter has been more active than ever. And so now Palladium's starting to put out new books. And they're not just going forward in the timeline, they're actually revisiting things. One of the key ones I saw was, I have to find it. They're going to be doing a source book entirely about the Invid hives and the inside in the hives, which is something they never touched before. So, we're going to see this renaissance throughout tabletop because people are looking to scratch that itch that they've lost in tabletops and they're starting to lose with video games. So hopefully if tabletops start this resurgence and drawing back more heart and soul what they had back in the late 80s, early 90s, hopefully video games will start following that trend when they start seeing the shift there. But, that's anyone's guess.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, as a nerd, I would bank on it. As someone, if I had money, I'm not entirely sure yet. The wave of nostalgia is in and of itself going to be a time thing, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to end up sorting itself out.
Well,
all right.
We've got retro gaming everywhere. I couldn't even begin to count how many people I know who are doing retro gaming, either sites or discussions or, parties and things like that, and it's been growing more and more every year.
Oh God, did you see the Kickstarter for the Bad Dudes 2?
Yes, I did.
You know what? I would throw money at that so fast because I find that so damn hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I am a bad enough dude to save the president, but based on what I was reading on their site, they do not have the rights to it. Part of the money that they're trying to get up is access to it. So if you throw money at it and for whatever reason they contact Data East or whoever the hell owns Data East these days and they say, yeah, no, then guess what? You just tossed away a whole lot of money.
Yeah. Well, that's why I've been really hesitant on any Kickstarter. There's only a scant few that I've put money into, and that was exactly why. Because, well, the ideas sound lovely, and I would love for them to happen. Half the time, it's sketchy on whether or not they can actually pull it off because of rights and other things like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally.
But that's not what we're seeing. But, those conversations get lost because, all people see is, oh my God, Bad Dudes 2, shut up and take my money.
Yeah. Which I almost fell in that trap. I was like, oh, hot damn, I'm going to get in on some of that action. But then I started reading the fine print because that's something I've been kind of paying attention more to because I've heard of other people and other things coming up like that. It's really hard to tell how much thinking some people have put into them these days.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember the Your World one?
Yes.
The scariest part about that is I think the dude was serious. He sounded like a fan. A dude who had more money than sense and was like, hot damn, I'm going to make me an MMO. And after, maybe after a little bit, hopefully he realized